Hello, I've been looking around on YouTube at all the videos about electronics, and most of them, I must say, are rather advanced. If you don't know that much about it, you really are stuck. And let's face it, if you've ever been at school, you would have been taught, and we're going to talk about resistors. These are the most basic electrical component there is, really. What they do is they stop a bit of the electricity going down a wire. Bit like a hose. If you squeeze a hose tight, some of the water doesn't go down. That's really all it is. At school you will have been taught the ohm is defined as the resistance between 2 points of a conductor when a constant potential difference of 1 volt applied to these points produces in the conductor a current of 1 ampere. Blah, 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 blah. No wonder people close their ears to it. All a resistor does is electricity, lots of electricity goes in there, less electricity comes out there. It's as simple as that. And they're all different values because they turn on or let through more or less electricity. Simple really as that. So let's say you're going to build your first circuit, and it'll be something very, very simple. This is in fact quite a simple circuit. That's a little radio transmitter kit. You can buy this for £2 on eBay. You shouldn't really transmit with it, but you're not going to do much harm if you did. Try getting one of those, putting it together. Oh my God, how the hell am I going to put that together? Lots of little components. They're all the resistors, little things standing up there. You've got to really learn how to read the value. And if you want to learn how to read the value of a resistor, it's not that difficult. They use what they call a resistor and electronics color code. So each color represents a value. Quite simple. Black is 0, brown is 1, you can see red is 2, orange is 3, yellow is 4, green is 5, blue is 6, violet, which I couldn't get on my font, is 7, grey is 8, white is 9, and then the other last band, which you'll find on a resistor, tells you how close they are to the value you want. So let's say you are looking for a resistor of a certain value. Now, it's actually quite easy because resistors aren't made in millions of values. They're in fact only made really in 12 or 24 values. That's all there are. So if you are looking for a 12 ohm resistor, that's quite likely to find, or a 15 ohm resistor, or a 12,000 ohm resistor, or a 12 million ohm resistor. You will find that. But if you are looking for a 14 ohm resistor or a 14 million ohm resistor, they don't make them. So if that's what you read on the circuit, it's wrong. Anyway, so let's show you a little bit about how to read the value of a resistor. So I've got a couple of resistors here. I've got this large one out because it's one of the ones that's easier to read. This one has got 4 lines on it: brown, black, yellow, and silver. You start at the end, usually start at the end nearest the edge, but that's not always the same. And you'll also notice with this one, the yellow line, if you can see it, I will zoom in. Forgive my zooming, which will probably be the wrong way. I always get it wrong first. Yeah, I said I would get it wrong first. Oops, there's my zooming. You'll notice the yellow band is, in fact, almost invisible. Often happens that the colour of the back of the resistor, whichever resistor you're using or the component you're using, you lose one of the colours. You look closely, get one of these. These are jolly handy. Let me zoom out again. I got this from Amazon. It cost me £2. It's a magnifying glass, and it's also got a little light built in. So if you're not filming, you haven't got film lights on, you can get nice and close, and you can see the value. You can see the resistor quite clearly, or the component quite clearly. You can read the value of a capacitor or anything. Let's get the capacitor out. If I can find a capacitor easily, out for my millions of drawers. The capacitors are easier to read because they've got the values written on them, and you look at it there, and that you can see that's 1,000 microfarad, 1,000. So, magnifying glass, very handy. This one, as I say, cost me £2 on Amazon. Highly recommended. So, back to how do you read the value of a resistor? This is you can see it. Have I got it on in this frame? I think I have. If I haven't, I'll move the paper. Have to do it this way. I used to write things down. I'm afraid I can't write anymore. My thumb is numb. I have a neurological problem. My thumb is numb, and that's all numb there, so I can't hold a pen anymore. So we have to do it this way. So we've got brown, black, yellow, and silver. What does brown, black, yellow, and silver mean? It's quite easy, really. Brown means the first value number is 1. Black means the second value is 0. We then have a yellow band. Now that does not mean it's valued 4. It means it's got 4 noughts. So it's 1, 0, put your 4 noughts, 0, 0, 0, 0. So the value of this resistor is 100,000 ohms. Can also be called 100 kilo ohms. You take the 1,000 and you change that into a K. And ohms can also be called R. Some people call ohms R. It shouldn't be, but Americans seem to do it a lot. Ohms are R's. So an R equals an ohm. That is 100 kilo ohms. I hope that makes sense. 1 is brown. Black is 0. The yellow is not 4, so it's not 104 something. It's 10 with 4 noughts at the end. So it's 10,000 ohms, 100 kilo ohms. I think that's fairly simple. I think it's understandable. Also, if you look on here, which you can see, 10 is a value. So the 10 means it's likely to be that right value. Let's do one more, just to show you the value of a resistor. Now this is one I got out of my drawer. I thought it was going to be 56k. In fact, it's an odd value. I did show you that most resistors are in these 12 values here. This resistor, however, happens to be one of the 24 values. This, I will tell you before we start, is 51,000 ohms, 51k. So even I can be caught out. So the colours on here are green, brown, and then you've got orange, which means 3 noughts. So it's 51,000 ohms, 51,000 ohms, 51 kilo ohms, 51,000 R if you want to be pedantic. So that makes sense. 5 is the green, is the first line. 1 is the brown, is the second line. Then you've got 3 there, but it's not 3, it's 3 noughts. So it's 51,000. So that value of that resistor is 51,000 ohms. Now, what does the last ring mean? I said earlier that it can either be gold or silver. It can also be other colours because they now make resistors with a tolerance of sort of nothing. Resistors are much closer than they used to be. Believe it or not, when I started out doing electronics, which was over 50 years ago, excuse me, I'm going to burp. Sorry, it shows how old I am. That's a fish sandwich going down. They only made resistors in 6 values. You then had to select the value that was nearest to the one you wanted. Believe it or not, that's how it used to work. Nowadays, resistors are so much better made. They're made with laser beams and all sorts of things. So they really are quite accurate. But the 4th value is the tolerance, how near it is to the value. So let's go back to this one. This resistor is, if you remember, 100k. Doesn't mean it's going to be exactly 100k. We put it on my meter here. Connect up to this. And this shows that the actual value is 100,000 ohms, 0.4. So it's 100, in fact, it's 100,000.4. So it's 1004. They're not exactly accurate. In fact, because this has got a silver band on it, which means it's got 10% tolerance, if this resistor read 109,000 ohms, or in fact 91,000 ohms, it would still be perfectly legal to sell it, perfectly saleable, because it's within 10% of the value that they specify on there. But you see, this one is 100.4. Let's try the other one. Oh, if I can get that thing off. Your fingers aren't working today. Now, this is our 51,000 ohm resistor. And once again, it's not exactly right. This is 50.334. So once again, that's slightly over. This one, the 4th ring is, let's have a look. Excuse me. Have a look at this. The 4th ring here is gold. So that would in fact mean that the resistor has got to be within 5% of the correct value. So in this case, 50,000. 5% of 50,000 is 2,500. So 52.5 would be all right. 47.5 would be all right. This, as you can see, is 50.3. So it's perfectly all right for absolutely every use you can think of. That is how to read the value of a resistor. It's quite easy. It's quite easy. Next time, I think perhaps we'll look at capacitors. I hope that's made a little bit of sense to you because, as I say, most people make it sound so difficult. Resistors are, they do difficult things. All they do is stop some of the electricity. So what you put in at one end, you don't get quite so much coming out the other end. You can use that to limit the current, you can use it to limit the voltage, all sorts of things. But look, the resistor is the most basic component in electronics, and it just cuts down the amount of electricity going through a piece of wire. Simple as that. See you again soon. Hope that was of some use to you. By the way, don't forget to subscribe. If you subscribe, I'll make some more of these videos. If you don't like them, please write in and politely tell me what I'm doing wrong. If I'm doing it wrong, I'll try and do it right. Best I can do. I see in front of me Zener diodes. Shall I explain Zener diodes next time? That'd be a good idea because they're always going wrong. See you again soon. Bye. I'm trying to find the off switch.